their weaknesses? Like what is the whole
I don't
point of,
think it's just in the church. I think it's everywhere. I think it's all men.
okay, yes, I would
Probably
agree.
worse outside of the church,
Yeah.
almost.
Okay. But the church is a place where,
It should be
yeah, I mean, the whole
normalized.
point of us being Christian just because we don't have it together. Like we're
Yeah, but that's not how we practically look at church. We literally spend our whole time at church trying to look the right way. We literally dress a certain way. We like, as much as that is, it's funny that we're having this conversation because I had a heart to heart with a guy after church on Sunday and it was very raw and very honest. And there again, it was like shocking even to me. It was to some degree. And I'm like, hey, this is kind of like, this is what church is supposed to be.
yeah, yeah.
This is like, it's happening anyway. So why would we not be talking about it? Like, is it less work? Is it less sinful because it's not being talked about all of a sudden? Or, but there again, I think there's such an aversion. My thing I always come back to is everybody just wants everybody else to be okay because they cannot live in the uncomfortableness. I see it over and over.
Uncomfortableness of what? What are they uncomfortable about?
They are uncomfortable of being just not able to deal with the situation or not being in control or not have an answer. So like if someone, like I've had it multiple times now where people really close to me have had a child die or even rent, like I've had two different customers where they've ran over their own children farming in accidents. And like most people just either say the wrong thing or avoid it totally because they just do. It's so tragic and there's nothing that you can say, obviously, like there's nothing right to say. And then people just, and I always allude it in a way lesser version of that. It's just with us not being able to have children. Like people just said really dumb things because they just want it to be, they don't know, they don't want to sit in the awkwardness of, hey, that really sucks. I'm sorry. Right. And people don't like, people spend most of their life just trying to be comfortable and happy in our North American culture.
Escape.
Escape. And they do it through
Distract.
like really good things and really awful things. Right. And I do too. So, I mean, I just think for a guy to be really honest in church, like how does that start? And it's a beautiful thing when it does, and it ultimately leads to freedom and healing and probably salvation. But it's like, how does that? You have to take the first step of admitting, and that's hard, right? Especially when everyone around
Step
you
one.
looks like they have it together. Yeah, everyone else like
Admit there's a problem.
yeah, and ironically, and almost the same in every church. The people that are the leaders, and of course, some of them are doing a lot better, maybe, but they always are the most. They're looking the most healthy, and they are looking quote unquote
Perfect.
perfect,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like, oh, is that the guy? Am I going to go to that elder or that guy and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, and like,
Yeah, I went to you because you're an alcoholic.
yeah, and a lot of other issues too. And it was really cool at Freedom Sessions the other night when a guy shared his story, and it was a beautiful story of his brokenness. And then like he had reached out to a pastor, and he had been honest with that pastor, and he shared about the unconditional love and
Pastor had, yeah.
how you treated him, and it was like, wow, like
Yeah.
that is literally what the church is supposed to be, and we're supposed to be that to each other too. That was actually an interesting point in the sermon. I don't know if you were on Sunday morning if you're at church, but they talked about like ministering and about serving in church and our as Christians how we should be serving, not for the church's sake, but for our own sake. And it was interesting how we always kind of look at like the minister and he's the minister.
Yeah, yeah.
Like no, Christians are supposed to all be
Yeah,
ministers.
the point of a pastor in the church is to equip the saints for ministry. It literally says that verbatim in the
Yeah,
Bible. Like
yeah.
you're equipping the Christians to minister to the people around them.
It's how nobody looks at it that way in church. They all kind
Very
of get
few,
preached
yeah,
at
yeah.
and then go home, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a question even in our AGM a while back of saying like, hey, why don't we do house visitation? Why aren't the elders visiting? And I think the elder that answered
We're really
gave,
Dutch, but we're not that Dutch.
gave a great answer.
No, we might. I mean, it's
Gave a
always-
great answer though of saying like, no, like the point is that the church keeps themselves accountable, and like if you go to your friend that's that's living in sin, you go to their 101, and then to the friend, and then you go to church leadership. It's like the church. It's not a police situation. This isn't like a
we would try to follow the Matthew 18 principle, right?
Yeah.
But there again, people don't, as much as people don't want to confess their own sins, nobody else wants to call anyone else on anything either.
No.
Either A, because they feel like a hypocrite because they know they have their own secret sin, or B, they would just rather gossip about it and talk to other people about people's shortcomings, right? So
It was interesting. I was watching a Q&A with John MacArthur and John Piper this week that they had recently.
okay.
Yeah, and so John Piper said something along the lines of that he got told that you, as a pastor, you can't have friends in your own church because it's like they're too close to you or whatever. And John MacArthur's dad, who was also a pastor, told him the same thing, like don't have friends in your own church. But they both really pushed against that idea. They're like, no, that's not true. That's the one place you should be known, especially as a leader. And so John Piper said, like when he had marriage issues, all of his staff knew. And he's like,
Okay,
like
interesting.
I don't need to hide this. Like this is the whole point of it. And like he actually lived that, and by action, by example, not just
Pretty
by
hard
saying
to
it.
do. Pretty hard to do.
Yeah, well, you really have to hold on to your identity being in Christ and that you're forgiven, right? Because as soon as you let that go, and your identity is in like you have your crap together, then yeah, you're going to be wanting to hide. I think it's really the more we believe the gospel, and the more we believe that we're fully forgiven, deeply loved by what Jesus did, the easier it is to be open. And yeah, it just moves. Hey guys, if you enjoy that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.